Alright, when we go to the beach, we go to have fun with our family and friends. Many of us don't think about the dangers we might be putting ourselves in when we go into the water. Shark attacks are rare, but they do happen. And this makes some countries want to figure out a way to limit or prevent these attacks from happening. My opponent's main claim is that shark culling is an ineffective means for shark mitigation, causing more harm than good. As stated by my opponent, shark cull commonly refers to baited drum lines used for the purpose of capturing and killing certain sharks. My opponent's secondary claims are that shark culling fails to prevent the number of shark-related incidences, that the outcome of shark culling is harmful for the ocean ecosystem and marine life, and lastly, that non-target marine life is also captured in the shark nets and drum lines. When I did research, I found a few conflicting areas. For the first supporting claim, there was key information left out that supports the advocate's opposition. And in the second claim, it is implied through wording that shark culling is a major factor harming the ocean ecosystem and marine life. But in fact, there are actually much greater problems at hand affecting sharks in a more widespread fashion, such as overfishing. So for my response to the first claim, shark culling fails to prevent the number of shark-related incidences. My opponent stated that the annual number of shark attacks overall has increased despite government culling programs. And she gave an example of Hawaii putting this program into place, and the number of shark attacks remained the same before and after the shark culling. However, according to authors Hazen and Afonso, in Brazil, the number of attacks have been shown to have been reduced by 97% when drum lines have been deployed. Therefore, my opponent used the fallacy of composition. What is true of a part is true of a whole. My opponent also stated that the drumline policy failed to catch any great white sharks, its primary target. However, I found in my research that the great white shark is not the only primary target. There's actually three. According to author Eric Ritter, there are three primary targets: tiger sharks, bull sharks, and great white sharks. The naming of these three primary targets was also found in the same article that my opponent had quoted from ABC for her point that the policy failed to catch any great white sharks. In the ABC article, Fisheries Minister Ken Baston was quoted saying, "No great white sharks were caught, and the reason is because the great white shark season isn't until later." In my response to the second claim, that shark culling is harmful for the ocean system and marine life, my opponent stated that shark culling endangers shark species. This makes it sound like shark culling is a major component to harming ocean ecosystem and marine life, since it wasn't stated like specific areas. Additionally, Dartmouth University wrote a report stating that overfishing is the greatest threat to ocean ecosystems, according to marine ecologists. Additionally, according to National Geographic, fishing down has triggered a chain reaction that is upsetting the delicate balance of the sea's biological system. According to fishingdown.org, fishing down refers to the fish at the top of the food web, sharks for example, and they're exploited by the multi-species fisheries. This causes sharks to tend to decline, to die off faster than smaller short-lived fishes in lower trophic levels. In conclusion, my opponent stated that shark culling is an ineffective means for shark mitigation, causing more harm than good. However, she didn't mention any of the good components, only the bad. In my research, I found that shark culling does help decrease the number of shark attacks in certain areas, so overall, and that overfishing is more of a danger to the ocean ecosystem than shark culling, as it affects a much larger radius. Thank you.
All right, structurally everything is handled pretty well. You identify what the main and secondary points are at the beginning of the speech, so you've got a good summary to begin there. On the first point, you're pretty direct in arguing that there is, in fact, some reason to believe that these have been effective, and you have a good statistic that you cite from a different case other than the one that the advocate cited. Plus, you have an explanation as to why in Australia they haven't had the great white captures that they think they're supposed to have. There's not really much indication about whether or not that, getting all the tiger and the bull sharks has actually decreased shark attacks down there as well. But you do a good job of directly attacking the evidence that the advocate presented on that particular point, except for the number of shark attacks. And then, the one argument that you have to respond to that is the other example that you point to, which I thought was pretty reasonable. On the second point, you're basically diminishing the threat that the advocate's presenting here. You're not saying that there isn't an impact on the ocean, but you're suggesting that it is so infinitesimally small as to be almost irrelevant when the real source of the problem is overfishing. The whole argument, though, about downfishing sounds to me a little bit confusing. If you take out the apex predators, wouldn't that mean there'd be greater fishes in the ocean? That seems like it solves the overfishing issue. I'm not quite sure how that ends up supporting your position. I do think, however, that the argument that suggests that, and didn't they cite a specific number of sharks that had been killed? I don't remember if there was a citation, like if there was like 1,500 sharks or something like that. And the idea that 1,500 sharks is going to make a difference in an ocean full of animal life seems like it's a big inference, and I think that might have been a good press to make also. All right. Thank you.